Hey, what's up guys? Node Investor here. Hope everyone is doing well today. We're bringing a quick update on these markets. We're going to look at Bitcoin, some key levels to be watching, but we're also going to be looking at a handful of the altcoins that are just on a tear, moving strongly in spite of the sideways and choppy action that we've seen in Bitcoin and most of the large cap names, to be honest, over the last day or so. But there are still plenty of trades to be had. There are setups that I continue to spot. I took a handful of trades yesterday, looking pretty good so far. We'll go over some of those and take a look at the total coin market cap as well. Just a overview of what's going on in these markets. But we continue to just see this major consolidation across the board for the most part. Going to the coin market cap real quickly here, you can see BTC up about 3%, pulling in again here today. Ripple pretty much flat, Stellar flat, ETH lagging, tracking the BTC. Bitcoin Cash continuing to struggle there. EOS just continues to get hit hard. And you can see across the board, most of the big cap names are relatively small changes over the last day. Binance, I took a nice trade on this one here. We'll look at the charts. Binance is still going strong, much stronger than I anticipated when I entered that trade. Neo is trying to put a low in here, but you can just see across the board, smaller numbers, waves, unbelievable waves. Big move we're seeing here, up another 50% today. Looked like it was topping yesterday. Saw some big volume reversals and it just took off today. Just continues to be the strongest name out there. But let's take a look at the charts here. Before I get going, I just want to remind everybody, go to nodeinsiders.com. That is for the proprietary trading alerts, the market scans, a lot of the names that hit the radar, the moves, they show up here first. And you also have access to all of my training materials. I've released a handful of new videos, probably around, I want to say 10 new videos here. So talking risk management, talking market psychology, and some indicator videos. Those are all available for free as a subscriber to the Node Insiders alert system. So nodeinsiders.com, I'll post a link in the video notes. There's a video here if you want to get an overview and check it out. So going to the charts here, looking at BTC, this is the 1 hour view, and yesterday was just a very choppy day. We started the week off with some big selling here, and that really broke the major trend that I was watching. So prior days, we were talking about this big double bottom pattern on this 4 hour chart, and it rallied. It essentially hit the upside target. I was looking at a pullback to the 618 retracement level on the Fibonacci side, and that has since been broken. And so this double bottom pattern, rally and all that has been played out. It's no longer in play. This is a new downtrend that is currently in play and has reset to the technical charts from that perspective. Now these lows are certainly still important and must be watched, but you can see we met the upside target, found resistance around that 4,300, could not close above that 4,400 level, and just rolled over, rallied, made a lower top, and just continues to do that now. So you can see over the last couple of days, we've had a series of lower highs and lower lows. And until that pattern changes, this is technically in a downtrend. So you got to keep that in mind here. Looking at the daily chart, still very much in a downtrend. You can see the moving averages are going lower pretty sharply here. They're fanning out a little bit. We had an attempt to rally off the lows late last week, but look at where we continue to find resistance. Right at the 10 EMA, just cannot close above it. You saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attempts in the last couple of days, in the last week, just not able to get above it for much more than just a few hours before it rolls over. And so near term, that's the first sign to be watching. We had a good chance to set a higher low right at that 618 retracement level. That has failed, and so now the level to be watching on the downside is last week's lows around that 3,600 level. Needs to hold. So for now, just range bound, but you can see 4 hour chart is in a downtrend. There is an attempt to try to turn the corner here again today. If we zoom into the 1 hour charts, let me clear these lines real quick. We can see the volume that spiked right off the lows here. Let me pull that up here. You can see that was a big break lower yesterday. Prices just kind of went sideways. We're looking a little bit bear flaggish again. We've seen 2 of those here. We saw this first attempt and then another one potentially. It did break lower, slightly undercut the low, not by much, by just a few dollars, and then rallied strongly right into that resistance again around that 3,900 level. And so that's really the key level to be watching. Not a lot of momentum one way or the other, just still very choppy, very sideways action. I continue to hold BTC though. What I'm doing is I'm hedging in another account, and so when it looks like it's about to roll over, when you see these moves lower, I'll go short and I'll offset some of that downside, but I'm still holding because the altcoins continue to show breakouts and outperformance, not across the board, but there are certainly enough of them out there for me to remain in play in trading the alts, and it's offsetting the downward pressure here on the USD prices of Bitcoin. And so that continues to be my strategy. Now, if prices continue to go lower and they take out last week's lows, that will change the picture. But if they remain range bound here, if prices just kind of remain choppy and meandering, I'm going to look for those alts that continue to outperform. And there have been plenty of them in the last couple of days. So let's go take a look at some of those. First off, Binance Coin. You can see just how strongly this has moved over the last day. Continues to push higher. It's just blowing through all of my targets. I finally scaled out here the last of my position, but just watching this candle go up here, I'm thinking maybe I should have just held on a little longer. It's still going. Made for a nice trade. This was a low risk reward entry, and so I was able to take a bigger size than I normally do. And the way I look at that is I'm always doing a minimum of 2 to 1 on the risk reward. Yesterday we were watching this one. Several members of our group were able to jump on this, and you can see the prices were just meandering really tight, and then the volume really kicked in as it pushed higher. I jumped in at $12.95, which is around right there, and you can see the risk reward entry was favorable because what I was using for my stop was the low of that candle. If that candle completely reversed and was undercut, considering such high volume that we saw in that move, it would have negated this setup for me. And so with a 1.5% stop, if you wanted to go a little larger, you could have gone 2%, but a 1.5% stop makes for a very tight stop. I'm able to position size much stronger, and my first target was up here, this 4% move, not a lot. Then above that, major daily resistance, and this blue line is big resistance on the daily chart, which we're seeing prices just blow right through that. And so all in all, from that initial entry, prices are now up about 15%. So it's been a very strong move, but I was scaling out along the way here. So I'm currently out of the trade. We'll see how it looks over the next couple of days. But going to the daily chart, you can see how that is just pushed right in through this resistance. This is the level I was watching on the daily chart, and has hit that and is pushing higher. It is a bit extended though near term. If you go to that 4-hour chart, look at that RSI is hitting that 86 level. On the 1-hour chart, it's right back up there at 87, and so certainly due for a pause. But we've seen some pretty strong moves here over the last couple of days. Going to waves has just surprised everyone with how strong it's been. Has broken out several times here, but I mean, just a steady climber. Let me show you the before yesterday's sell-in pressure. Just a steady climb higher. Gave you very few chances to jump on unless you just jumped on the trend. You had a chance there and a chance there. Other than that, has just been marching higher. And then yesterday we started to see some shaky action here. Big volume reversal off the top, the biggest volume from the entire move, and just went sideways. I thought it was done. Looked like after such a strong move that was going to be it, and then just consolidated. And then today breaking out, moving another 50% higher. Just an incredible move on massive volume. Just dwarfs that prior volume that we've seen, up 46% as I record this. So still some moves to be had out there. I missed the rocket ship on waves, unfortunately, but very nice to see some of that action here in the market, especially since the downtrend that we've seen over the last couple of weeks. A few others that have moved very nicely and still going strong. STRAT was another one, was setting up yesterday, breaks out. It had a false breakout initially, pulled right back to the EMA pairs, but has since moved higher and up about, I think at the close today or the open today was up around 20%, 12%. So not a bad little move there. Again, not huge moves, but 12% with a relatively tight stop makes for some good moves. Many of the big cap names just continue to struggle. We've been watching Ripple. Ripple looked like it was in play yesterday, was trying to get going. We saw a few big moves on the hourly candles. You can see volume was starting to spike. When it pulled in here off of the 1-hour chart right into these moving averages, I took a shot at this one. Looked like it was about to get going, and then it just stopped me out. It's bouncing again, but just has struggled. And look at that daily chart. It's let me clear those real quick here. it's still attempting to put a low in here, but it's vulnerable. It's just sitting right above that breakout point, has not been able to clear this downtrend resistance yet. So most of the big cap names are in that boat. Most of the action we've seen here is in the smaller cap names. Another one that was moving was ARK, made for a nice little quick trade. Jumped in here for a quick 10% move on ARK. But if you go to the bigger ones, you see something like ETH. Again, had a move yesterday, not a lot of follow through, has been struggling so far. Litecoin versus BTC here, just kind of sitting tight, really just following Bitcoin's price. I mean, it's been a little bit of a range, choppy range, but for the most part, just sitting tight. EOS continues to get hit hard. Once it broke this support last week, if we go to that daily chart, you can see that was a major level to be watching. It sliced right through that and just has continued to drift lower, just getting hit real hard. But most of those big cap names are just struggling right now, and a lot of the bigger moves percentage wise have been in the smaller and mid cap names. So it just kind of shows you the lack of depth in terms of the strength of this market. When the bigger cap names are following suit and outperforming Bitcoin, just generally shows a much stronger market. There's always something moving regardless of what Bitcoin's doing, but at least we're seeing a handful of names. It's more than just one or two random small cap names that are pumping. You're seeing some pretty decent moves. You're seeing Binance, Waves, we saw ARK, we're seeing Stratus, and so there are still trades to be had. Right now, I'm trading not as aggressively in terms of position size as I normally do, and I'm also taking some tighter stops. If I get stopped out, I'd rather just get out of the way and wait for a better setup versus keeping really wide stops in. Most of my stops have just been small single-digit level stops, 2%, 3%, that sort of thing. So has just made for some tighter trading, but still some stuff happening across the board, not widespread yet. We'll have to see what Bitcoin does here. That's really what it's coming down to. It's in the middle of the range here. If you go to the daily chart and just look at where the prices are here, this is really the range that is starting to build here. You can see between that 4,400 down to the lows of last week around 3,600. If prices remain and just go sideways choppy here, then I think we'll continue to see the altcoins rally. But to be fair, prices are leaning bearish. The sellers certainly are in control. They're containing any rallies to the upside, breaking above any EMAs. And so on the upside, the upside resistance levels really remain the same for me. First at 10 EMA, but really on a price basis, closing above 4,300 on a daily price level is really the key thing to be watching here. It's not been able to close above 4,300 since November 23rd. And so that's really the level to be watching. We can start to close above that. Then we'll have to just go one day at a time, test the next resistance level around 4,600 and go from there. But for now, prices certainly remain downward. The pressure and the bias is in favor of the sellers. But like I said, there are alts that are offsetting some of that downward pressure and moving higher in spite of what Bitcoin is doing right now. So that's going to be it for today, guys. I will be doing a live stream tomorrow, so look out for that. I hope you can join me and bring charts and ideas, any thoughts you guys want to look at, charts you want to look at, and reviews. But I appreciate you guys watching as always. Until next time. Take care, everyone.